Hello everybody and welcome back to my channel. My name is Christopher and I am doing another Sims 4 speed build today. If you watched my first video, if you've subscribed to my channel, thank you so much. It makes me so happy to see that people are liking my builds and people are enjoying watching what I create. And this is the second video for my channel. I'm still starting out, I'm still fresh, but I'm not stopping. I've got plenty more coming that I plan on uploading soon. I just recently bought Island Living, so I've been doing a lot of beach houses and a lot of little huts, and I've been messing around with doing some bars. It's really fun. I love Island Living, but that's not what we're here for today. We are here for what I'm working on right now. This is Mason Plantation. It is a large plantation home inspired by South Louisiana. If you've ever been to South Louisiana, you know that these homes are huge, and this build is no different. It is 4 stories tall, and all stories are actually livable and accessible for your Sims. I really wanted to make sure that this captured that true Southern style, and I think in the end it turned out beautiful. Now, one of my favorite features about the exterior of this house are the 2 wraparound porches on the first and the second floor, and I think that is very authentic to Louisiana, especially to plantation homes. You've got to have a wraparound porch. Now, I played around a lot with the outside, with the siding that I wanted, and I decided to go with this clapboard look because I felt that that was true Southern. I felt like that really made the difference. I played around with brick, I played around with some other things, but in the end, this clapboard was definitely the way to go. Now, I did skip past where I created the staircases that come down from that second story because it did take me a while to figure it out, but I am so glad that in The Sims, you can have different heights for rooms that aren't adjoining, so you can create staircases like this. I do wish, however, that The Sims would give us spiral staircases or rounded staircases. That would make all the difference in creating homes like these. We have those big clunky staircases that just take up so much space and you pretty much have to build around them. But if you want to know how I created this staircase, let me know in the comments below and I would be more than happy to do a tutorial for you guys because it's really not that hard, alright? A lot of plantation homes will have those long driveways leading up to the front of the house that are lined on either side by willow trees or crepe myrtles, and I really wanted to create something like that for this build, but what I did instead was I end up lining the sides of the lot with the willows, and I think it turned out beautiful in the end. I think it really felt very authentic to what you would see in pictures of, you know, the actual driveway that we weren't able to do with this build. However, the landscaping for this build turned out gorgeous. It is full of color, full of flowers, full of trees. One thing I thought that really made this house look authentic to the South or to South Louisiana is its foundation being up on pillars. That is very commonplace for a lot of the state. For much of the state, you will find homes that are set up on pillars because it is very much a flood zone around here, no matter if you're in North Louisiana or especially South Louisiana. Many homes you will find are up on stilts. That way, if it does flood, it doesn't come up into the house, it just kind of runs under it. And that is just something that's very common, and I think it really made this house perfect. Now, these shrub bushes that I'm working with now, I saw another sim builder do this, and I thought, what a great idea. I never thought about stacking plants like this to create a more natural looking topiary, but it's awesome. Now, as you can see right now, I'm just adding in a bunch of flowers around the front of the house, a lot of hollyhocks that I thought were very beautiful, and those little pink rose bushes were just absolutely gorgeous to me for this build, and I think it was just the perfect pop of pink to make the house stand out. Much of the house on the outside is sort of a neutral color or white, and so it's very bright, and I think that the color of the flowers just was an excellent contrast and really made it stand out. Now, it took me about, I would say, probably an hour and a half to 2 hours to actually get all the landscaping finished up and get everything just in order. I did want to have the flower beds on both sides of the staircases symmetrical, and I did want to have both sides of the house sort of lined by those tall tapering trees, which I just love, and I think I find some way to add at least one of those trees in every one of my builds. I love those trees, and the reason why I think I like those trees is because my grandmother, who lived in Arkansas, had several of those trees outside the front of her house, and over time, I watched those things get so tall. They get very, very tall. And so I think maybe it's a bit of a nostalgia thing for me. I just like the way they look because they remind me of her. And she was very much a Southern lady, very much a debutante, so to speak. And so I think that these trees did fit perfectly. So the gate I thought was so beautiful. This big brick gate with the moss or the ivy that is hanging down off the top of it, and the way it just sort of kind of comes in at the corners to wrap around those willow trees. I love that. That was like the cherry on top when it came to this fencing because it just turned out beautiful. And so I sized up this front gate because it was quite small, but I thought for a house this big and a lot this big, it needed to be bigger. So I sized it up and it worked perfectly with the size of the fencing. Now I'm getting into what I really love about the landscaping of this home, and that is this sort of rounded walkway leading up that I'm going to edge with flowers. And you guys, it looks so beautiful. And isn't that just so therapeutic to watch those just line up so quickly like that, almost just like perfectly? I love it. I love it so much. It's so enjoyable to watch. But look, it made it look so much more beautiful. And now I'm going in and adding some flowers, some more hollyhocks. I love the hollyhocks in this game. I think they're beautiful, and they're even more beautiful when you size them up, especially when they're wrapped around trees like that. It's just so gorgeous to me. I do like things to be a little bit symmetrical. So on this corner we have the flower bed in the willow tree in the way that it is, and on the other side I've done exactly the same thing. And I think that that makes all the difference whenever you're looking at a big square house that is equal on all sides, that the landscaping would be something similar to that. Now I'm adding in these windows all across the front and all across the back, and I actually don't put any windows down the sides of the house because when I got in and I started building, I realized that everything that I needed to place inside there did not call for a window, but that's perfectly alright because some of the rooms on the inside that are on the sides of the house are rooms like a cigar room or a gentleman's room, if you want to say, and then a lady's drawing room and things like that. So they really didn't need big windows on the side. It was just perfect the way that it was, and I felt like it was really the light coming in from the inside, and the back was the most important thing. And here I go adding in the willow trees down the sides. I think this is definitely something that is very South Louisiana. Most of the time you will see large plantation homes have a huge driveway, like a 1/4 mile driveway, and both sides will be lined with either crepe myrtle trees, which are absolutely gorgeous, and I wish The Sims 4 had some crepe myrtles. Alright guys, now I played around a lot with the bottom story that we're working on now with the staircase, because as you can see, the staircase is large, so it has to fit somewhere. So this staircase I absolutely thought was awesome. What I did was I reversed the staircase, that way it wasn't actually, when you walk in the front door, you weren't looking up the staircase, but you were looking at the flat back side of the staircase. And then I took some half walls and sort of made this half circle around it to give it this sort of like foyer type look, or you know, this little alcove, I guess you would say. And I put all these pictures up there to kind of represent maybe the ancestors of the Mason Plantation. And I think it turned out looking really nice. I think if you were to go inside a newly renovated plantation home, that's probably something you would see to catch your eye when you walk in. Maybe even if you're going on a tour, you would stop there first, learn a little bit about the history of the plantation before you continued on to your tour. And I did imagine in my head that the sisters who I created, the Mason sisters, to live here, then their names are Magnolia and Gardenia. You can't get any more southern than that. I imagine that they are renovating this plantation for a bed and breakfast, and that they would give tours and give history and things like that for this home. Now I'm working on building the hallway and some rooms around the hallway. And what I do on this side here, I also do on the opposite side, and it just ended up being very symmetrical, and it's so huge I had to do something to create plenty of rooms. So the wall that I'm putting in now is actually going to be the kitchen space, and you guys, I think the kitchen might be actually one of my favorite rooms. It is a gorgeous kitchen. If I could have that kitchen in real life, I would be so happy. It is huge. It is definitely a space where you can cook and have fun and bring the family or bring your guests in if they're staying over for the bed and breakfast. I love the kitchen. Now this is the front left room, and I imagine this to be a sort of sitting room. And this is where, you know, you could go and hang out, sit by the fireplace, read a book, talk to each other, and just kind of feel cozy and enjoy the company of others. And you will also notice that I don't add in hardly any electronics into this house. I don't add any televisions, I don't think. I don't think I added any radios. It's mainly books and drawing and things like that, being out in nature, because I feel like, you know, if you were to really be in this home, you probably wouldn't see much of that. You would be more or less taking time to admire the beauty of the house and the old antiques that are sitting all around. So this room is actually funny because the first time that I built it, I got so thrown off by the symmetry of the house that I built that sitting room in the kitchen at first, and then I had to move everything over, and I was just like, oh great. It didn't take long though, because I had the idea of what I wanted to do. Now, the room I'm working on now is really cool. It's dark, it's red, and this is the gentleman's sort of cigar room, or the playroom. You got the card table over here, and you got the foosball table over here. Over there, I'm going to put in a bar. It took me a minute to find the right bar, but I love how it kind of fit perfectly into that little alcove there. And I really love this room. I think this is a room that I would probably hang out a lot in, play some cards. So I imagine like this would be the room that the original owner of Mason Plantation would have spent most of his time. Alright guys, we're working on the kitchen now. I've got the cabinets and the counters up, but I have to say, somehow whenever I went to go edit this video, all the footage of me actually decorating the kitchen and getting it squared away disappeared. I don't know what happened, but it's alright. You'll see just how beautiful the kitchen is in the screenshots. It turned out absolutely gorgeous. This is another sitting room on the first floor, just finishing it up. I did have to cut a lot of the footage out of me actually building just because it was such a big house. There was no way that I was going to be able to fit everything in there. So I don't think I include like the bathrooms or all of me actually building this room, which is sort of a reception room. I imagine that this is not just a bed and breakfast. This is also a place where you can hold a wedding or a party or something like that, and I imagine this is what's going on now. This is the dining room for a sort of party, and it is connected to a big ballroom, dance room right there that you see with a big grand piano, lots of pillars, and I think that it is very true to being like old-fashioned. Now we're working on sort of the master guest bedroom, you could say. This is probably where the wedding couple who has just had their wedding reception would stay for the night, or maybe some very important guest would stay in that room. This is probably my second favorite room in the house. This is the study, and I would probably be spending all of my time in this room because I'm an English major, I'm a reader, I'm a writer, I love books, I love the dark wood, everything. This is definitely the place where I would live. And like, if I had the choice, every room in my house would look like this right now. I just love the wood and the leather and the dark rugs, those lamps with the green shades on it. It's just something that is absolutely beautiful to me. I love it. It's definitely my aesthetic per se. So yeah, I would totally live in this room if given the opportunity. So you got the kitchen, you got the books. What else more do you need other than food and books? I can't think of anything better. And I really had a fun time putting in all these little decorations in the empty slots in the bookshelves, just to kind of make them not all look exactly the same, to kind of, you know, differ them up some. But I think this room actually turned out very beautiful. I love it, and I would imagine that any plantation home would have a study. Now we're moving up to the third floor, and this is where I imagine the actual bed and breakfast rooms would be. They're mirror opposites of one another, but I decided at this point I wanted to give this house some secrets. I wanted it to be more than just like a quaint and cozy and beautiful sort of plantation home, but actually give it some secrets. Now in the South, in South Louisiana, hoodoo and voodoo does exist, and people take it very seriously. It's, you know, part of the culture. It's part of what makes South Louisiana so fun. So I put like some scratch marks on the wall and, you know, some spider webs and cobwebs just to kind of give it that spooky, eerie feel. We're moving up to the fourth floor, and this is kind of cool. You can see it's the attic. I've just put in a whole bunch of clutter in the main space, and then there's this secret room in the attic that is really spooky. It's got coffins, it's got gothic statues, it's got, you know, something that looks like a spell book. And it's just something I thought was very spooky, and probably you would find in a haunted plantation home. Alright, so that's about it for this video. Make sure you stick around for the screenshot so you see how beautiful every room turned out. And I just want to say thank you to everyone who has watched so far and who subscribed. Make sure to like this video, subscribe to my channel if you haven't already. And other than that, guys, I will catch you on the flip side. Thank you so much. Bye!